Welcome to another Physna feature video. Now, so far we've been looking at some of the core features of Physna, like searching, comparing, and match report. And these allow for very fine-grained analysis of parts against other parts to help assess your repository of 3D assets. You can find the links to those videos in the description below. Now, starting with this episode, we're going to begin looking at other ways that this concept of P&A can be impactful. Now, while Physna is unlocking new ways to search and compare and ultimately utilize 3D, that 2D data that I spoke of in the Physna Enterprise deep dive video is still obviously going to be a critical part of our process. So things like material type, color, compressive strength, these don't get represented through geometry, right? So that's why Physna imports this data as metadata on the 3D models to allow you to view and leverage that information along with the geometry. And the feature that we're going to be featuring to illustrate this is called smart tags. Now, smart tags effectively use the same P&A construct to associate parts with other similar parts to predict which metadata may be applicable across those parts. So the smart tag feature helps make this possible and gives you, the user, the control to either accept or reject those kinds of recommendations. So as mentioned earlier, searching for properties or attributes or other metadata will obviously still be a critical part of the design and manufacturing process. And as I'd illustrated earlier, this is exactly why we have text search functionality baked right into the homepage. So let's just say I needed a butterfly nut for a piece of equipment that I'm designing. I'd probably just start by typing butterfly nut into the search bar and clicking the search icon. But I can see that Physna doesn't find anything that it thinks is a butterfly nut. Now keep in mind, if those properties or attributes or labels were in a PLM or if it was part of a file name, of course Physna would find it. But in this case, that text was not found anywhere. Now I just so happen to know that the wood chipper that I've been using on some of my other demos does in fact have a butterfly nut in its assembly. So let's go open that wood chipper again. Now, if I zoom in on the engine, I can see that, in fact, there is a butterfly nut. So what's going on here? Well, if I go to the assembly tree and scroll down, I can see that the part itself is referred to here as simply a 2-arm knob. Now, if I knew that, and I knew to search for 2-arm knob, I would have been fine. But I wasn't able to find the part I needed right now because I didn't know the exact text string to search for. So let's look at how smart tags can help in this situation. So let's go ahead and open that part, go to Actions, and Identify. Now this is the area where I can add additional metadata to my parts. Now we can also add metadata from other systems in here as well, but for the purposes of this demo, I'll simply scroll down and start adding some tags in here manually myself. So I will add butterfly nut. However, this can also be referred to as a thumb nut. It's also sometimes called a thumb screw. And we'll also add a hand knob tag so that we have a nice selection of tags for this part. Now, when I actually click confirm here, this is when the actual magic happens. And what you're going to see Physna do here is leverage that same P&A concept to find other parts that are similar to this 2-arm knob and ask me if I would like to tag them with the same exact labels I just added. So right here I can see that I have a 4-arm knob that's close enough in geometry that Physna thought that maybe I would want to call this a butterfly nut as well, or a thumb nut, or a thumb screw, or a hand knob. So let's go ahead and select a couple of them here just to illustrate how this works. We'll accept the butterfly nut, but reject the thumb nut. We'll reject the thumb screw, but accept the hand knob, and hit confirm. And now if I do a match and go into my 4-arm knob, it will show the tags that I accepted and rejected. So now if I do another search for butterfly nut, we will find both the 2-arm knob and the 4-arm knobs that have been tagged. One that I did manually and one that smart tags helped me to do automatically. Now let's take this a step further. I also happen to know that I have a chainsaw that also has a butterfly nut on it. So if I open my chainsaw in my viewer here in Physna and zoom in, I can see a completely different kind of butterfly nut. It may not be a geometric match. Categorically, it is still something I would identify as a butterfly nut. So if I go into the chainsaw's assembly tree and find this particular part, I can again see that it's named a flanged wing nut. So let's again go to the Identify tab and add butterfly nut as a tag. And this time we can see that Physna found no matches. But for this example, that's okay. What we really want to illustrate here is that whereas geometry rules and it helps unlock new visibility that you didn't have before, there's still these use cases where traditional 2D text is of value. In this situation, when I now search for butterfly nut, I will see that all three parts show up. Now keep in mind, when we stepped through that wizard earlier, that was simply because I had just added a tag to my 2-arm knob. But Physna will also automatically flag you if there's a part that it thinks might have additional metadata that has not yet been attached to a part. Now let me show you what I mean. If I go back to that 4-arm knob, and what I'll do here is I'll actually delete the tags that I rejected previously, which were thumb nut and thumb screw. So this will make it like I never responded to those earlier on. Now, if I go back into that 4-arm knob, go under Actions, I will see that its Identify button now has a red number 2 on it. So this is Physna letting you know that it's made some predictions on this part that might be of interest to you. In this case, those same 2 labels since I deleted them. Now keep in mind, this is a simple example to illustrate what is going on here. Whether you're adding these labels yourself, or we can attach them via a spreadsheet or API calls, some of this data might come from PLM integration. But when you scale this again to all the types of data that you could add to your parts, and then scale that to all your parts, hopefully you can see where this smart tagging feature can be incredibly useful to bring more valuable data across all of your parts. So thanks for joining me on this tour of smart tags, one of the part classification features within Physna that leverages pure geometry to make even your 2D text searches more powerful. Now, if you missed our overview video from here at Long Away Acres or any of the other Physna feature videos, please check out our YouTube channel or Physna.com to see how Physna can help you build better and faster. Thanks for watching.